Hi, everyone. We're going to talk about fitness over 50. And I have a pleasant surprise for you. It will also be done in little bites of 5 minutes. Look, getting fit is a little more challenging the older you get. I am a pro at this. I have been working on fitness since my 20s, and I'm now 74 years old, so I have had more than 50 years worth of experience at being fit. And I can tell you that the needs and benefits of fitness shift as you get older. It's not that aging should be scary. In fact, it's actually in some ways easier and more enjoyable to be fit as someone who's mature than it was when you were 20. I don't know about you, but I used to not quite be a gym rat, but I certainly worked out really hard, aiming for the perfect gym body. How many of you remember things like aerobics and the whole thing with leg warmers and stuff like that? Well, it's a different world. My name is Diana, and as I said, I have been involved with health, wellness, fitness, and longevity for more than 50 years. And I want to share with you some of what I know about this topic. I've owned a couple businesses in the fitness area. So, one of them at the time, I co owned the largest personal training business in Los Angeles, one of the meccas of fitness. And I've also owned a women only health and wellness center at a time when mind body wellness was a pretty new concept. So, let's talk. Why is fitness more challenging as we get older? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, repetitive stress injuries and outright injuries tend to build up over time. I don't know about you, but most of us who get older wake up a little stiff in the morning, and that makes it a little harder to pop out of bed and get going. I know that when I was much younger, I would literally wake up 5 a.m. Yoo-hoo! I'm getting to go on a run today. Well, it's not quite the same nowadays. Um, Repetitive stress injuries, the sore joints. I have a few areas of my body that I need to be careful of. I actually have a 98% torn rotator cuff on the right and 95% on the left. And I still work my shoulders out, but I need to be a little more careful about tearing further and getting myself into rotator cuff surgery. The orthopedics say I am stronger and more flexible than any goals that they would have for someone with my kind of injury. And I credit it to working out smartly, not difficultly. But how about you? I mean, are you waking up stiff? Are you starting to have some sore knees as you walk, or maybe you get out on the golf course and your back is a little not as limber as it used to be in your swing? Maybe you have some low back pain as you're standing, doing things either around the house or on the job. Or maybe, like me, you've got some shoulder problems. Maybe your tennis arm isn't quite what it used to be. Those are all things that come with age. And while you certainly want to see medical professionals to see if you need help for them, um, they also put different demands on you as you strive to get fit. So, injuries is one thing that you may be experiencing as you get older that will have an effect on how you get fit. Another thing is that as we get older, there is a condition that leads to muscle loss, even if you're working out exactly the same as you did when you were younger. It's called sarcopenia. And it just has the percentage of muscle in your body decrease over time. So you do need to work out a little differently and a little smarter to try to maintain muscle mass. That's part of fitness. Another piece of fitness as you get older is that things that you never thought about when you were in your 20s or 30s are things you need to start considering as you get older. Bone loss is one of them. For many people, both men and women, we do tend to lose bone in both our spines. We can lose it in our arms and wrists, but hips is the big place. And how many people do you know have hip replacements? Well, that's either arthritic injury or it is bone loss. And working to keep the bone up in your hips is particularly challenging, so we'll talk about that. The final thing that well, flexibility, I mentioned that already. We're going to get into that a little bit further. And then another thing that you need to worry about is balance. Our balance does tend to decrease with age, and we need to think about what we're going to do to increase our balance. Now, how are we going to do this? Well, I have, first of all, a few recommendations for you to address things. Number one, don't sit too long. Body in motion stays in motion. Basic physics. A body at rest stays at rest. Literally, set a timer, a vibrating timer on your phone, or if you've got a watch with a timer, set a timer to remind you to get up every hour for 5 minutes. Well, that doesn't sound like too much fun, but keep in mind, I mean, how many of us are used to using the commercial time if we're watching television to get up and go get a beverage, a snack, or bio break? If you're sitting at the desk, like we're doing right now, plan to get up every hour and go do something. Do one of those 3 things. Or maybe it's not quite a compound moment, but combine fitness with getting up. Your body actually starts to age at an accelerated pace the longer you sit. We don't merely want to be fit, we want some longevity, and we want high quality longevity. So, or at least I do, and I hope you do. I hope you want to age healthily and happily. And one way to do that is to get up and do something. Do it in little 5-minute bites. Get up, go to the kitchen, plan to get your little snack or beverage. I'm going to highly recommend water as that beverage. And let me explain why water in particular. Because another thing that happens as we age, we dehydrate. Our bodies normally are about 70% water. And in case you didn't know it, our bodies are made up largely of water, bone, fat, and muscle. We want to maintain our muscle. That's the whole challenge with sarcopenia. And we want to keep the water levels up, because if our water levels get too low, and most people over 70 have them way too low, it's going to lead to cognitive decline and physical decline. And we want to keep our brain sharp, because it's hard to age happily and healthily if our brains aren't working great. So drink plenty of water. There's a lot of rules of thumb on how much water to drink. It varies by men and women. But the bottom line is drink bucket loads of water. Try to drink less of other beverages, because the vast majority of other beverages are dehydrating. In other words, they actually leach fluids out of the body. Plain old water is the best. Now, so you're going to get up every hour. Go maybe get yourself a drink of water. Keep a glass of water by your desk so that you're drinking throughout the day. When you get to the kitchen, go to the counter and do some push-ups off of the counter. They're not nearly as challenging as the ones on the floor, but you can vary the height of the push-up depending on, you can do it on the back of the sofa, do it on if your dining room table is at a stable and not going to move around on you, you can do them there. I like doing it on the kitchen counters, because kitchen counters, bathroom counters, quite stable. Do some push-ups. Set yourself a challenge. Today I'm going to do 10 push-ups on the counter at this height. Then I'll do 15 tomorrow, and I'll do 20. Or set yourself a goal for the number of push-ups you're going to do in a week. Say 100. That's a great way to get a little bit of fitness. Push-ups are a great exercise. Those of you who have been exercising most of your life know that push-ups are kind of a full upper body exercise. They work the arms, the shoulders, the chest, and so on. So that's a great exercise to do in a bite. But there's plenty of others. You can do squats, and if you are balance challenged, hold on to that kitchen counter while you squat away. Again, aim for 5 or 10 at first, then move to higher numbers, or set a goal for the week. You can do the same thing with planking. Yep, plank. Set yourself a goal. compete with yourself on how long you're doing a plank in your break where you're up for 5 minutes. Or do a little stretch routine. On my website, highqualityaging.com, and I'll put the link in the comments, um, has a little video with a morning stretch routine that I recommend for most people. It starts with some gentle full body stretching, works rotational stretching as well as forward and back, and it actually gets a little cardio into things too. When I do the stretching, and I'm going to talk about how you can fit stuff in other than this every 5 minutes, you can do what is called habit stacking. Habit stacking means insert that moment of fitness in with something you already do. For example, I do my morning stretching when I'm walking my dog. When he stops to sniff for a minute, I'll do a couple stretches. I have a routine. I do the stretch 1, stretch 2, then we walk, then stretch 3, stretch 4. I've added a few balance and leg strength exercises into my stretch. That's not in the video. One of the things I'll do, and again, my suggestion is for you, depending on what your current balance level is, one of the things you can do is hold on to a light post and stretch your tush back so that you're doing a really nice lower back stretch. Another thing that I'll do is hold on to the light post, cross one leg over the other, and sit down and do a squat. That's called a figure 4 squat. And if you try crossing one leg over the thigh of the other, you kind of will see what the figure 4 is about. And holding on to the post, I'll go down and do a squat. It's going to build strength in the quadriceps of the leg that is bent down. As you're bending down, you've got balance, so you're not going to be falling down, and then come up and do it on the other side. It's a great stretch for your hips, for your back, and building strength in your legs. Another thing that you can do is stand on a curb, again, while you're walking the dog. Or, I mean, sure, what if people think you're goofy? They'll figure it out pretty fast that you're looking a whole lot better than they are, so too bad for them. But stand on a curb and do heel lifts to work your calf muscles. You can either do one leg at a time or do both lifts. If you're doing both and you have any balance issues, please hold on to a street sign or something like that. Use what's out there in the environment. There are other stretches I do using boulders as part of my stretch. I'll be doing push-ups on boulders too. I will do planks. Not a full flat on the floor plank, but a plank on a low rock, if it's available, or a bench, or whatever else. Why not? You can make a little baby parkour out of a walk, and I'm going to encourage you to walk several times a day if you possibly can. No, I'm not saying go walk 45 minutes, although that's great if you can do that. Again, you're taking 5 minutes every hour to go walk and do something. Walking outdoors for even as little as 3 minutes, research has shown, has major impact on your mood, your serotonin levels. Your serotonin is the feel-good hormone that your body secretes when you're feeling good. And you'll come back into the house refreshed, rejuvenated, infinitely more focused on whatever the heck else it was. Plus, you'll have more even temperament if frustrations come up in life. So just go out and walk for a little bit. As I said, 3 minutes will do it, 5 minutes, even better. And the cumulative effect of several bouts of 3 minutes a day or 5 minutes a day is as good as doing the same amount of time all in one fell swoop. So you don't have to get sweaty, you don't have to tire yourself out. Just go take a walk and come on back. One of the best times to do a gentle walk is after eating, because it will actually aid digestion too. And if you have acid reflux, as many older people do, this will help with acid reflux. And here's another benefit of this. Doing any of this exercise that I'm talking about is going to be helpful in terms of your rest. High quality rest is really important as you get older, because your body repairs itself while you're sleeping. And in case you're not aware, there's actually 3 levels of sleep. There is light sleep, that's a lot of your night. There is deep sleep, That is when you do the really strong reparative sleep to your body, and your cells kind of clean themselves up and take the trash out. And then there is REM sleep. That's rapid eye movement sleep. That is where your brain is processing everything that's going on in the day, and it's doing its job of cleaning itself out. So you want plenty of high quality REM sleep, and deep sleep in particular. And you may already be aware of this, but your body goes through cycles up and down. Light sleep. I probably should start up here. Light sleep, going on down to deep sleep, coming back up to REM sleep, light sleep, and then down. So you cycle many times through the night, maybe as many as five or more times. That is normal. You may wake up during the light sleep phase. That's okay. If you wake up, and this is something that comes up for people as they get older, is there's more of a need to get up and take a bio break, fine, get up to it. Don't turn a light on. If you must have a little nightlight, fine, have a little nightlight, but don't turn lights on, because your brain is going to start thinking it's morning, and you will find it harder to get back to sleep. Just get up, do it, go back to bed. If your mind is having a little trouble shutting down, you want to do what I call 5x5 breathing. Some people call it square breathing. Inhale slowly for 5, hold for 5, exhale slowly for 5, hold for 5, and repeat. It's not generally going to take too many times of doing that and really focus on counting 5 each time to not be awake anymore. I've taught that to many people with extremely active minds, and they have found that that has worked as much wonder for them as trying to struggle to meditate. So consider doing 5x5 breathing. Now back to fitness. All right, here's another thing that I think is important, particularly as we get older. Since we've already been there, done that with most of the heavy kinds of exercise, I'm going to recommend, you dial down the really intense exercise, partially because there is the bone loss issue, and bones may not handle heavy pounding like ultra marathoning. I know I did a half triathlon back when I was 52, and it wasn't long after that the orthopedist told me either I kept running for a little bit or I wouldn't be walking, and I think you can guess which choice I made. I mourned it because I really enjoyed running. I was the person who would wake up, as I said earlier, excited because today was a day I could run. But I decided walking was a better thing, so I walk now. And walking is fine as well, plus it's infinitely easier on your joints. So dial it down. I work out way less intensely, and I'm still eminently fit. And most people I know work out a lot less intensely as they get older. So what you want to do is consider a few of these things that will help some of the problems that come up for us as we get older. I mentioned back issues. Want to know the solution for back issues and walking? It's called walking poles. I'm sure you've seen people striding along with their poles. They are amazing in assisting you with lower back issues. It makes walking virtually pain-free. And if you're someone who gets pain in your lower back when you walk, I highly encourage you to try walking poles. Plus, here's something else. Calorie burn is way higher. You will get a cardio workout faster with walking poles than you will on your own walking on the flat, let alone on hills. So use walking poles. It's going to help your back. It's going to get you more calorie burn. That's going to make it a more aerobic kind of exercise. And in my humble opinion, you want to dial down what your goal is for aerobic exercise. I would not push how hard you're sweating. You definitely want to get your pulse up. And I'm sure you know the whole test about how comfortable is it to talk. If you can't hold a conversation, you're working way too hard, you're anaerobic. That means you are not doing your body a whole service at that point in time. You want to be able to, maybe breathe a little hard, but not be sweating, not be unable to talk. So just dial the intensity down a tad as you get older. And look, if you're only doing it for 3 to 5 minutes, It's kind of like interval training, isn't it? Push it for 3 to 5 minutes and then gently walk back to where you're going. That's what I would do. I would do a gentle walk for a minute, push it for 3, gentle walk for a minute. You've just gotten a little interval in. You can go do your next interval in a couple of hours. If you do 3 intervals a day, you got a 15-minute interval walk, and interval walks, or interval anything, is highly effective. So I'm going to recommend doing that. So I mentioned walking poles. I'm going to give you some other ideas that link into cardiovascular health, link into strength, and link into balance. Another thing to consider is electronic bikes. I have noticed with COVID, as have the e-bike manufacturers, that they have become very popular with older people. That's great, because guess what? Studies also show that you get virtually the same benefit from an e-bike as you do from a pedal yourself bike. Why? Partially because you're pedaling. Also, there are huge psychological benefits to being outdoors. That's why I'm recommending those 3 to 5 minute walks outside, not inside. So get outdoors and do some activity. And consider an e-bike. I know they can be pricey, but consider them. And if an e-bike is out of your range, go get a regular Schwinn or something like that. Another thing to consider, which is great for the bones, great for the muscles, and really, I don't think it has a whole lot of pain. The only thing I would recommend is, if you're doing it, either have something to hold on to if you have a balance issue, or take it slowly. There are things called vibration plates. I'll put a name of a company that I am aware of. It's called a Waiver Board. And you stand on it and it shakes you, basically. Kind of reminds me of those old time, I don't know if you guys remember, in movies kind of from the 40s, they had these women with this belt around their waist and it was shaking them and it was supposed to help them lose weight. That's not quite what this is. This is taking it from the bottom of your feet. And the reason the bottom of your feet is significant is, how many of you knew you have a second circulatory system? Yeah, it's not just blood. Lymph. Lymph is actually what takes the waste out of the cells. So you want to keep it moving. But you say to yourself, well, wait a minute, I know I've got the heart to make the blood pump. What makes that lymph go? Does it just on autopilot? No. There is essentially a lymphatic pump in your feet. That's why walking is good, because walking activates the lymphatic pump. Well, a waiver board does that also. So you get the lymph moving in your body, which cleans out the waste. You're kind of rattling yourself. I mean, it's way gentler than a rattle, let me just tell you. But it's great for building bone and building muscle and helping you get fit in like 5 or 10 minutes a day. Oh, gee, that matches the 5-minute break I just was talking about. Not only that, but I was talking with a representative of the company fairly recently, and they suggested that they tell some people who have trouble sleeping, sit on a chair, put your feet on the waiver board, and let it vibrate for 5 minutes before you go to sleep, and you'll get deeper sleep. I'm experimenting with it to see if I think it's that valuable. I can say it doesn't hurt, and I would suggest it to you as something to try. So that helps bone, it helps muscle. And some of these waiver boards have resistance bands attached to them, so you can build upper body muscle at the same time you're vibrating the lower body. But the lower body is important because that's what supports you. That's where the balance issue comes up. It's not your arms that get in the way of balance. It is what is going on with the muscles in the lower body. So we want strong lower body muscles. You'll get them with the walking, you'll get them with the biking, you'll get them with a waiver board. Stretching doesn't hurt any in terms of keeping them loose. Now, something else that I strongly suggest is make fun out of some of what you're doing with exercise. And you probably wonder what I mean. One of the things I've been experimenting with is hopscotch. How many of you played hopscotch as a kid? Say me. Yeah. Hopscotch. You're jumping on one leg or both legs. Great for stimulating bone retention in the body. and you're practicing balance. I would recommend if you're starting hopscotch, or do it alongside a wall so that you have something to grab onto if you need to, or take a pole with you that you're holding onto as a third leg. But it kind of is fun. I mean, I remember how much I used to hopscotch as a little kid, and I loved it, and I'm not nearly as good as I used to be. But guess what? I'm better than the day I started doing it. And I know A, I'm having fun, B, I'm getting my heart rate up, and C, I'm building my bone and my balance. So that is an idea. There's plenty of other things you can do doing that too. I also strongly recommend functional exercise. Gardening is great, particularly if you're toting and carrying all that stuff. I personally am quite happy to load 20-pound bags of mulch and stuff like that. Why? Because it's exercise for me. Just make sure you know how to lift in a way that's protective of your back. And I'm not going to go into that right now because I'm starting to run out of time, but Google it. All right, so there are plenty of ways, and upper arm workouts. Look to your childhood. That's what I did with hopscotch because I knew it would be fun and be kind of an interesting thing to see how I'm doing today at 74 versus how I was doing at 7. But I was a majorette. I learned how to baton twirl when I was about 9 years old, which meant that by the time I was in high school, I was a pretty good baton twirler. Well, I have some batons. So I pulled them out of storage, and I decided every time I take the dog outside for his bio break, I'd twirl the baton a little bit. And yeah, I was pretty rusty when I started, but I'm getting better with time. And it's fun. And it works my arms. And yes, if I'm moving around or running to pick up a dropped baton, I'm getting a little cardio in out of it. So look at what you used to do as a kid and see if there isn't a way you can build some movement in it that's going to be reward your spirit as well as your body. And keep in mind that with all of this little exercise you're doing, these little tiny 3 to 5 minute bites, you're going to be getting better rest, and that's going to help your brain age well, and your mood is going to be much more zen, much more consistent. You're not going to be nearly as irritable. And in this time of stress, with the pandemic, up, down, anything that helps us relieve stress is a good thing. Anything that keeps us on even keel is a good thing. That will aid us in terms of our relationships with other people. It will make us happier, and it will help us stay healthier, because there is some truth to the idea that a positive mindset aids your body in staying healthy. Now, I put a link in the posting with the video. If you would like to know more, we've got some kind of e-cards on things you can do in micro moments, micro movement moments, micro merriment moments, micro mindfulness moments, and so on. I'm happy to send them to you. And I've given you a link to our Facebook group. If you join the Facebook group, we will send you a card, and over time you'll get other cards coming out to you because we send them out or post them in the group. So we look forward to seeing you. I've enjoyed talking with you. It is utterly impossible, easy, and enjoyable to be fit after 50 in 5 minutes or less in a bite. I'm Diana from highqualityaging.com, and I'm retired and wiredforfun.com. Bye.